universes, welcome to my booktube channel, Savvy Reads Books and Things. I am Savvy. Today I thought I would do a February TBR. Now in my very first video I stated that I probably wouldn't ever do any TBRs, and that was because of one defining reason. I had watched a lot of booktubers, and I follow a lot of booktubers, and some of them do get motivated by doing TBRs and knocking off books from their TBR shelf, and some of them felt that if they weren't reading as many books as other booktubers, or if they weren't reading as many books that they put on their TBR at the beginning of the month, that they were a bad reader, or that they had let their fans and followers down if they didn't get to a certain book. And I don't really want to feel that kind of pressure, but I've got to thinking a couple things. One, I should at least try it once, and two, it's the month of February and Valentine's Day, is coming up. So the first book I really want to get to this month is an audiobook, and that is Carry On by Rainbow Rowell. This is a very difficult book to describe because it involves so many complicated elements. But I'm going to try it out. I'm going to actually try not to screw it up. A lot of people kind of have mistaken or misinterpreted what this book is actually about. It's not Kath's fan fiction from Fangirl, for those who do remember the book Fangirl by Rainbow Rowell, same author. Kath wrote fan fiction for the Simon Snow series, which is equivalent to the Harry Potter series. And in Fangirl, we got fan fiction excerpts where it basically stated Simon and Baz being in love with each other. Her entire fan fiction has always led up to Simon and Baz being in love with each other, which is the equivalent to Harry Potter and Draco Malfoy being in love with each other. So everyone was really kind of excited about this, and we liked the excerpts. With Carry On, it's not Kath's fan fiction, and it's not the final book in the fake series. In this, it's Rainbow Rowell's interpretation of the final book and the interpretation of the story with maybe some of Kath's fanfiction elements. So we might get a few scenes where we ship Simon and Baz. But basically the story is Simon and Baz are roommates in a magical school. One is a wizard and one is a vampire. And beyond that, I really have no idea what actually happens in the story. So I'm excited to read this, and I hope that I can enjoy it at least for what it is, and not just as, a reminiscence of Harry Potter. Next on my TBR, we have a book to movie adaptation. The movie comes out in February. It stars Natalie Portman, and I want to get to the book before I see the movie. And that is Annihilation by Jeff Vandermeer. It's known as the Area X or the Southern Reach trilogy. This is a bind-up of all three novels, which is great because it means that each of the novels is like 150 pages or something. So it'll be fun, and it'll be a quick read. This has a very interesting premise. It sounds like it's going to be or lead to being about aliens. It really does. First of all, we have Area X. Second of all, we have the fact that Area X is cut off from the rest of the world except for a group of explorers that go on expeditions. When this novel starts, we're on our 12th expedition. Now, all the expeditions, if they have come back, if the explorers from the expedition have come back, if they've come back with a different story than the last one, and they come back with more questions than answers. So, what about this does not scream interesting? Also, Stephen King blurbed it. He said it was creepy and fascinating. Stephen King, the guy who created a demon balloon giving clown. Stephen King called this creepy and fascinating. Next on my TBR, we have another book to movie adaptation where the movie comes out this February. And that is Every Day by David Levithan. At least it's a contemporary. This one sounds like it has a really interesting premise. It sounds like the story is going to add a lot to the message about gender and sexuality and love. All I know and all I want to know about this novel is that we follow our main protagonist who wakes up every day in a different body than the day before. It's never the same person twice, and every day they're in love with the same girl. I mean, this sounds like it's going to be interesting. I want to know if they've had this all of their life, or if it started at a certain age, or whatnot. I'm excited to find out. Then we have Ash by Melinda Lowe. This is a retelling of Cinderella with a female-female romance. We have the main character, Ash, who starts to have some sort of relationship similar to Cinderella with either the kingdom's huntress or the kingdom's huntress who also happens to be the princess. I'm not 100% sure, but I am excited to find out. And I mean, it's a lesbian retelling of Cinderella. Yeah. Then on hold at the library for my Kindle, we have Simon versus the Homo Sapiens Agenda. I should be able to get to this month. I'm the next person in line to read it, and if I do read it this month, I'm a month ahead because the movie Love, Simon comes out next month. This has had a lot of internet buzz. It's going to be like a coming out origin story, but it's completely hilarious and not at all sad or depressing. I'm excited. And the movie stars Nick Robinson, whom I loved in Melissa and Joey. Like, I loved that. Lastly, on my TBR, it's another book to movie adaptation, I know. It comes out, the movie comes out in March, and I definitely need to at least think about starting this in February and definitely reading it by like March 13th or 19th, because otherwise, I have been told by my brother, if I have not read this book by the time that he wants to go see the movie, I will not be seeing the movie with him. And by that, I mean, I won't be going to a free movie. And that is Ready Player One. Hopefully I'll get to this. Hopefully everyone knows what this is about. There's an Easter egg, someone dies, and this poor guy who makes a bunch of 80s references has to go on a big quest to find this Easter egg with a bunch of other corporations who, of course, want it for more money and more power. And he wants it because he's flat broke. And the reward is owning the game and a bunch of money. So, I'm excited. It sounds like it's going to be like a little bit of a ride and a little bit of action. Actually, both of my brothers have read this. Why haven't I read this? I gave this to both of my brothers to read this copy. One of them read it 6 times in like 2 weeks. And I still haven't. This exact copy. What am I doing with my life? Okay, that was it for my February TBR. I hope you enjoyed it. I will see you soon with another video. Bye-bye.